Beautiful human being, welcome to another episode of Soul Speaks with Spack. In this episode, we're going to dive deep into 5 common yet overlooked red flags when it comes to relationships. So if you're in a marriage or a relationship right now and you're noticing there are unhealthy patterns that are playing out, but deep down there's love. You guys want to make it work. You want to rekindle things. And maybe there are kids involved. And you want to be able to give them the best life possible. But deep down, you know, in order for you to give them the best life possible, you must give yourself permission to experience your best possible life. So who is that version of you that is happy, that is content, that is grateful, that is present, that is calm, that is collected, that is connected? Who's that version of you? And are you showing up as them right now for your kids, for your partner, in the marriage, in the relationship? That's the first step, just to be aware where you're at right now. This is not to shame you. This is simply an opportunity to become aware of where you're at and where you want to be. Now, for each of the 5 red flags I'm about to share with you, I'm going to offer you a simple and practical solution that you can walk away with today and implement right away in your life, in your relationship, in your marriage. And red flag number 5 is one of the most common, yet most overlooked and detrimental to a relationship. So stay with me until the end of this episode so that you don't miss any of the solutions that I'm about to offer you. Let's dive in. Red flag number 1 when it comes to relationships is assumption-based thinking. What is assumption-based thinking and why is it problematic? When I was growing up, my parents always used to say to me, and this really stuck with me, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And why on earth is this? When you assume what your partner is thinking, feeling, doing, or saying, you create an instant wall between you and them. If you project that assumption onto them, they're going to very quickly put their walls up and feel the need to defend themselves. I'm going to share with you some examples in just a moment. The first thing to understand is that assumptions are rooted in fear. They are not rooted in truth. They are stories that are created from the mind. The ego loves to be right. The ego loves to latch on to a story or an idea and believe that that is true. The soul is curious. The soul is open to learning. The heart is open to learning. And let me make it clear, assumptions are not bad or wrong. You're not a bad person for making assumptions. We all make assumptions. But it is important to be aware of the fact that it is simply an assumption that isn't necessarily true. And this is why it is important to lead with curiosity, which I'm going to teach you how to do in just a moment. Assumptions can show up in many different ways within a relationship. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. The first is when your partner says to you, "Hey, you look gorgeous tonight." Your partner is complimenting you. However, you could internalize this as, "Do I only look good tonight? I don't look good all the other times." And you could then project that insecurity onto your partner. What are you saying? Are you saying that I don't look good all the time? And it's like, damn, I just complimented you. Receive the compliment. Can you notice that subtlety there? Your partner has just complimented you and said how amazing you look tonight. And rather than you taking that compliment and saying thank you, you've made it mean something completely different about you. What are you saying? I don't look good all the time? So this is one example of an assumption playing out in a relationship. Another example is that when you believe your partner is doing something behind your back that isn't necessarily true. For example, you think that your partner's cheating on you. You think your partner's messaging other women or other men. You think that your partner's doing certain things or saying certain things behind your back. And until you know that for sure, until you have evidence that that is 100% true, it is not fair for you or for them for you to make that assumption. And let me make it clear, assumptions are valid. Like I said, you're not a bad person for making assumptions. Assumptions are valid, but very often they are rooted in fear. They create defensiveness and a divide within the relationship, rather than creating space for connection, for love, for a deeper level of understanding. The ego will create all of these different stories and scenarios that aren't necessarily true. And the ego wants to be right. The ego doesn't want to have to let go of control. The ego doesn't want to let go of the story. And this is why it is important to become curious, to find your center within, to breathe, to take a moment, to observe the story. Ask yourself, is this really true? Could this really be true? And then ask your partner. Asking is the key. And the way that you ask these questions, the energy behind the way that you ask these questions is absolutely key. I'm going to share with you a couple of examples of how you could ask these kind of questions, and you let me know what you would be more receptive to. Hey, sweetheart, I've got these thoughts that are going on in my mind right now. There's a part of me that feels a little bit concerned because I feel like you may be messaging someone. Is this true? Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Can you help me understand? And I totally get that this is subjective and it may not come naturally and it may not make any sense at all, especially if you feel like your man or your woman is texting someone behind your back. But it's important to remember that that may not actually be true. It may be a story that has been created in your mind that is rooted in fear, that is rooted from past trauma. And so the way in which you ask this question is really, really key. Can you help me understand? This is coming from an authentic place. This is coming from an honest place. This is coming from a vulnerable place, and this will invite them in. If, on the other hand, you approach your partner through the lens of, I know you're texting other people. I know you're doing this behind my back. This creates an instant divide. It creates an instant wall. There's no space for connection, for truth, for honesty. So the solution to assumption-based thinking is to observe the stories, is to not become too attached to the stories. Understand that they very likely may not be true. So observe the stories, breathe, find your center, come back home to yourself. Take a moment to be with whatever the story is, the assumption is. Ask yourself, is this really true? Could this really be true? And then seek to understand. Ask questions. The energy behind the way that you ask the questions is very important, because you can ask a question and it can come off as though you already know or you're attached to a particular answer. Because you can ask a question and it can come off as though you already know what the answer is going to be. And that can create a level of unsafety within someone actually answering truthfully. This is why it is important to lead with genuine curiosity. Communicate how you are feeling. Be honest with how you are feeling. But be open and willing to listen to what your partner actually has to say, rather than being attached to this assumption that you have. This is really important. And as always, if there are any questions or thoughts that come up throughout this episode, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments below. And if there's any specific questions that you want answered, feel free to reach out to me personally through Instagram, because I manage my inbox completely. I respond to all of my messages personally. So if there are any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Red flag number 2 when it comes to relationships, and this is a big one, a lack of direction, clarity, and purpose. If you and your partner don't have a shared vision, if you and your partner don't really know what the purpose of your relationship is anymore, if you and your partner are not moving towards a beautiful vision of the future, then it's very likely that you guys are going to get bored pretty quickly. You guys are going to look outside of the relationship for something more because you haven't established that within your container, within your relationship. And you'll hear a lot out there about the masculine and feminine polarity and the man should lead the relationship. And this is true to an extent, but sometimes this can become misleading. It can lead to this ideologies these expectations, when in actual fact, we both play a part in the relationship. Both man and woman play a part in the relationship. The reason a lack of clarity is problematic within a relationship is because if there is no direction, if you and your partner are not moving towards something together, then it's highly likely you're going to look outside of the relationship for something else, for something more, because there's nothing that you're moving towards. If you guys don't have shared values, then you're not going to have a strong foundation. There's not going to be a strong foundation of love because you guys don't actually value the same things. And if you and or your partner start looking outside of the relationship for more intimacy, for more love, for more connection, for more excitement, this is going to create a level of unsafety. This is going to create a level of resentment. This is going to create a level of fear within the relationship you're currently in. This is not where you want to be. So the solution to this red flag is to get really clear on what your vision is, on what your mission is, what your purpose is, what your values are, what you really want in life. Who are you? And who is the version of you that has already accomplished everything that you ever want? And is this partner that you're with right now in alignment with that version of you? Do your values and your vision align? Are you guys moving towards something together? Do you have your own goals? And do you have shared goals? These are really important for the longevity of a relationship. What are your next steps within the relationship? What are you moving towards? And this doesn't have to be a crazy grand vision. It could be buying a house. It could be starting a family. It could be traveling. It could be starting a business together. It could be healing together. If there is no clear direction in your relationship, if there is nothing that you are moving towards as a couple, if there are no shared values or common interests, then it's highly likely you're going to begin looking outside of the relationship to fill a void that is within the relationship. So this is why it is important to clarify what you value, what you want, where you're going. And it's important to understand if your partner is on the same page. Because if you're not, there's going to come a point where you're going to feel that void. You're going to feel the need to fill that void with something outside of the relationship. So it's important to get clear on that from the get-go. Red flag number 3 when it comes to relationships is projecting, blaming, and shaming. The way that this shows up in a relationship is focusing on all of the things that your partner is not. Focusing on all of the things that your partner is not doing and being hypercritical, hyper-analytical of your partner and the way that they should be showing up and the way that they're not showing up, and holding on to all of these expectations and ideologies of the way that your partner should be showing up, the perfect version of them that you expect them to be for you, and at the exact same time not taking into consideration the way that you might not be showing up for them. So this is why it is important to not project beliefs and expectations onto your partner. It is important to not shame your partner. It is important to not blame your partner. It is important to take accountability and be willing to apologize and be willing to be wrong. Be open to learning from your partner. This is what a relationship is all about. Your blind spots are called blind spots for a reason. In your relationship, your partner is reflecting back to you aspects of yourself that you're very likely not able to see when you're on your own. These are why they're called blind spots. So for you to blame your partner or to project that back onto them, in a way disempowers you from learning, from coming closer to yourself, from developing a deeper level of trust and love within yourself that will ripple out into the relationship. So if you're very critical of your partner and you're always left feeling disappointed because they're not showing up in this ideal way that you believe they should be showing up, this is an invitation for you to look within and ask yourself the question, what am I not seeing here? Am I showing up in the way that I want to be showing up? Am I showing up as my best self? Or am I being more focused on them and the way they should be showing up? So the solution to red flag number 3 is, rather than having expectations of your partner and feeling disappointed when they don't show up in the way that you expect them to show up, Instead, focus on what you value. Instead, communicate what you value with them. Instead, focus on how you want to show up to the relationship. Focus on what you want to give to the relationship. Focus on being grateful for the beautiful human being that your partner is. Focus on being grateful for all of the amazing qualities that your partner has. What you appreciate appreciates. What you focus on, what you give gratitude towards will expand. So my invitation to you is, rather than focusing on all of the things that your partner isn't doing, focus on all of the amazing qualities that they have. Focus on acknowledging the beautiful human being that they are. Focus on acknowledging all of your amazing qualities and let go of this ideal scenario. Let go of this perfect person that you expect your partner to be. Let go of this perfect person that you expect yourself to be. Give yourself permission to release some of that pressure. Give yourself permission to take life a little less seriously. Give yourself permission to enjoy life a little bit more. What a gift it is that you get to share your life with another human being. The more you focus on all of the amazing qualities of your partner and of yourself, the more these qualities can expand and can grow. But when you're hypercritical of your partner, you're very likely hypercritical of yourself as well. And this is rooted in shame. This is rooted in, you should be this perfect person. This is rooted in this idea that who you are is not enough. So you need to be this perfect person. You need to do all of these things to be accepted and validated and loved. When all of that is not actually true, it's very likely being passed on from your parents and their parents. So it's no one's fault. So the solution to red flag number 3 is not blaming. It's not shaming or projecting. It is coming back home to yourself, being present, honoring your body, honoring your heart, honoring the human that you are, acknowledging the human that you are, acknowledging your partner, and being grateful for who you are, being grateful for where you are, being grateful for your partner and where they're at on their journey as well. Because on this journey of healing and personal development and self-growth, we can become very attached to growth and the ideal, perfect version of us and of another that we should be and they should be, to the point where it can pull us away from who and where we are right now. So my invitation to you is to let go of the need to shame, to blame, to project, to be so focused on the perfect person, to release some of that pressure, to honor who you are and where you are, and to honor your partner for where they're at on their journey as well. Give yourself the credit, give them the credit. I guarantee this is going to bring you guys closer together rather than pulling you guys further apart. Red flag number 4 is a lack of connection and intimacy. And this is huge. When there is a lack of connection and intimacy, you and or your partner will begin to look outside of the relationship to fill that internal void. That is a need. Connection is a need. Intimacy is a need within a relationship. It is important. It is a key pillar within a healthy relationship. Now, why is connection and intimacy lost inside of a relationship? There are many potential reasons for this. High levels of stress, high levels of fatigue and work, a lack of time and space because of kids, because of other responsibilities. Maybe there is a role reversal that has occurred within the relationship, and maybe it's been there since the get-go. Maybe you as a woman are more in this masculine-like energy where you're calling the shots. You feel like you've got to take the reins and take control because there's a level of fear there. Maybe your husband, maybe your partner, maybe your man has dropped the ball in the past. And because of this, you feel like you've got to be the one that's in control. You've got to be the one that's calling the shots. You've got to be the one making the decisions. And your man is kind of happy for you to take the lead because he doesn't trust in himself. He's happy to be passive and sit back. And eventually, the magnetism within the relationship fizzles. It's not there because deep down, you don't want to be leading. And this isn't true for all women. Some women innately want to be the leader. Some women innately want to be in that masculine-like energy. And these masculine and feminine energies live within all of us. And there's no right or wrong way to be. However, within a heterosexual relationship, a man and a woman, 9 times out of 10, the man is the leader. The man is naturally more in that masculine-like energy. The woman is naturally more in that feminine-like energy. Nurturing, nourishing, receptive, open, soft, kind, gentle. And the man is more assertive and firm and directive and leading. He's clear, he's confident. And this creates a level of safety within a relationship. The man feels respected. The woman feels protected. The magnetism is there. However, on the other hand, when a woman is calling the shots and she's leading and she's directing, and the man is passive, the man's soft, he's happy to go with the flow. Deep down at a man's core, he doesn't feel respected. When a woman is leading the relationship and calling the shots, it is very likely because she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't trust in the leadership and the direction of a man. And this could actually stem from a father wound, a core wound from her childhood, her father not being around. So she felt like she had to take the reins and take control. Now this woman has chosen to be with a man that is a little more passive, happier to go with the flow, happier for someone else to call the shots. Deep down on a subconscious level, there's an aspect of the woman that loves this dynamic because it gives her a sense of control. And on the other hand, the man loves this dynamic as well because he doesn't have to call the shots. He can go with the flow. However, with that being said, there is something deeper within both the man and the woman that leads to a sense of resentment. The man doesn't feel respected. The woman doesn't trust the man. Polarity and magnetism is non-existent. So the relationship has been built on the foundation of childhood trauma, rather than two secure individuals coming together and complementing one another and honoring one another and growing together. It's two individuals that have come together based on past wounds, and the cycle will perpetuate until they get to the root of their own childhood trauma. This is a really common dynamic that is playing out in relationships today. The passive man, the assertive woman, the man that is happy to go with the flow, the nice guy. Underneath the hood, there's a lot of buried resentment and anger and frustration because deep down at his core, he doesn't feel respected because he's not respecting himself. And the woman, on the other hand, her assertiveness is rooted in fear. It's rooted in this sense of control because growing up, she was in an unstable environment where her father wasn't around, her mother was hypercritical, and so she figured the only way to navigate through life and remain safe is if she was in control. And this is why she's chosen to be with the soft, nice guy, because she has that sense of control. She can take the shots, she can lead, but deep down at her core, this is not where she really wants to be. It doesn't feel natural to her. And this is a very common dynamic that is playing out in relationships today. As you can tell, within this dynamic, there is a lack of polarity. There is a lack of magnetism. This is because the relationship is being built on the foundation of childhood trauma and past wounds, rather than two secure individuals that are in their full power, coming together to complement one another. So the solution to red flag number 4 is to identify where you are at within yourself and where you are at within the relationship. If you're a man and you're a nice guy, you're a people pleaser, you're soft, you're passive, you lack that level of clarity and certainty within who you are, confidence within making decisions, then this is an invitation for you to go deeper within yourself and get clear on why you're in this passive, nice guy energy. This is not an invitation for you to shame yourself. This is an invitation for you to become curious about why you have these nice guy tendencies, these people-pleasing tendencies. Why are you scared and afraid of taking the lead and making a decision? It is very likely because you were never initiated into manhood. It was very likely because you didn't have a strong fatherly figure in your life. It was very likely because you had a hypercritical, analytical, controlling kind of mother. And because of this, you were likely never given the opportunity to make decisions for yourself. Your mother always called the shots and made the decisions for you. And now this dynamic is playing out within your relationship. So my invitation and my challenge to you, if you're a man and you have these nice guy tendencies, is to ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? Are you really afraid of making a decision? Are you really afraid of failing or making a wrong decision? What is the fear there? And then can you give yourself permission to start making decisions, to start trusting that every decision you make, there's going to be a lesson and a blessing that's going to help you better understand yourself. This is going to help you build your confidence. This will help you trust yourself on a deeper level. This will help your woman trust you on a deeper level as well. And this is going to help her feel safer with you, feel more attracted to you. This is going to improve the magnetism within the relationship as well. Now, on the other hand, if you're a woman that struggles to trust your man, if you feel the need to take the lead and call all the shots, then it's highly likely that you have a father wound. It's highly likely that your father wasn't really around or wasn't really present growing up, and you had a hypercritical, analytical mother as well. And so you learned that your way of navigating through the world was to control, was to call the shots, so that you couldn't have your heart hurt, so that you couldn't be disappointed, so that you couldn't be let down. So my invitation to you is to become curious about what is underneath the fear. What is the truth of what is coming up for you? Where did all of this stem from? At what point in your life did you feel the need to take the reins and take control? And then get curious about what you need in order to feel safe within your relationship. Because the need for you to control, the need for you to lead, the need for you to call all of the shots comes from a lack of safety. It is rooted in fear. The closer you can get to the truth of where all of this stemmed from, the more powerful this will be. The closer you will become to yourself and to your partner. The more that this energy will start to balance out in a nice way, in a way that creates magnetism and connection. Whatever gender you are, whatever relationship you're in, the answer is to always come back home to yourself and ask yourself the question, am I living in an energy right now that feels true and authentic to me? Or am I acting out of fear? Am I acting out of my survival strategies from the past? Am I acting based on my childhood trauma? And if you are, how can you align yourself with who you really are, without the mask, without the survival strategies? How can you come back home to yourself and trust in yourself to show up fully for yourself and for the relationship? Another solution to red flag number 4 is to set up intentional moments throughout your day, throughout your week, to drop in with your partner. This could be writing them a little letter before you leave for work. This could be having a nice phone call with them throughout the day. This could be setting up a nice intimate space one night a week where you light incense, Palo Santo, you have a candle, you have the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the textures, chocolate, bubble bath, nice music, something that brings you guys closer together and allows you to let go of the distractions, the chaos, the external noise of life, and truly drop in with one another and acknowledge each other. Share with your partner all of the things that you love about them and who they are as a person. Make this a daily practice. Make this a weekly practice. This will bring you guys closer together. This will magnify the love, the connection, and the intimacy. Red flag number 5 when it comes to relationships, the most common yet most overlooked and most detrimental, is a weak foundation. The relationship has been built upon a weak foundation. As I mentioned earlier in this episode, it's perhaps been built upon childhood trauma. It's been built upon past wounds. And your wounds have been the thing that has brought you and your partner together. And this is not bad, this is not wrong. In fact, there is a beautiful opportunity for healing and transformation that can occur when two individuals are aware and conscious and willing enough to navigate through these wounds together in a loving way. But in order for this to happen, it comes back to having a strong foundation, a clear set of values that you guys can share together, a clear vision that you guys can share together, a clear sense of direction and purpose within the relationship. Where are you guys going? What are the next steps? What are your triggers? What are your patterns? What are your survival mechanisms? And what are your partners? Do you and your partner understand what your triggers are, what your survival strategies are, what your patterns are, what your attachment styles are, what you both value, what you both care about, what is important to you. These are really important things for you to understand within yourself and to understand within your partner. That way you can strengthen the foundation that you guys have as a couple and you can grow alongside each other. A relationship that has been built upon a weak foundation will lead to you and or your partner looking for the door whenever things get hard, looking for the way out, looking for the next best thing. There's going to be a level of emotional unavailability, and you'll seek that through another relationship. You'll seek to fill that void through an external source. And you must remember that all of this must come from within first. So perhaps there is an aspect of yourself right now that isn't fully emotionally available. So the solution to red flag number 5 is to identify where the weaknesses are within the foundation of your relationship. Are you clear on your values? Are you clear on your shared values between you and your partner? Are you clear on the vision of your relationship? Do you know where you and your partner are going? Do you know what you and your partner are working towards? Do you and your partner have shared goals? Do you and your partner know what each other's triggers are and patterns are and survival strategies are and attachment styles are? And are you both willing to navigate through these together in a loving way? This is what makes up a strong foundation. And if you don't have a strong foundation, you're going to look for the door, you're going to look for your way out as soon as things get challenging. And the truth is, when things get challenging, these are the greatest opportunities and moments for growth, healing, and transformation. So this is why it is important to build that strong foundation from the get-go. And a strong foundation all begins within. This wraps up today's episode on 5 common red flags when it comes to relationships. As always, any questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If you're listening on Spotify, remember to follow the show so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. Please give the show a rating if you absolutely love it. That absolutely helps. If you're watching the video version on YouTube, remember to subscribe and to like. All of that helps. And if there was something in particular that you loved from this episode today, I invite you to share it on your social media. Feel free to tag me. I love seeing what it is that you learn from these episodes. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Have an amazing day. This is why you must remember the relationship you're in right now is very likely the perfect opportunity for you to meet a deeper aspect of yourself, for you to love yourself on a deeper level. But it requires you to have the courage to look within.